Board Games follows the entrepreneur Marcus Dreer and his determination to accomplish his goals by any means necessary, even if it plummets him down a deadly hole of no return. For all of my book lovers out there, Board Games is a simmering drama that boils into a gripping conclusion, and you can find Board Games 1 and 2 now on Amazon. It'll be the perfect read this holiday season, and it's written by yours truly, so you won't be disappointed. You are now tuned into the SoCHiology podcast. SoCHiology is a lifestyle brand emphasizing Chicago culture, experiences, and stories, and connected topics abroad. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow, from the hearts and minds of Chicagoans themselves. You know how they say in Chicago you can't wear certain colors in certain neighborhoods, or you can't have your hat broke off to certain sides, you can't have your hat broke off to the left if you're around GDs, you can't have your hat broke off to the right if you're around Stones and Vice Lords? Well, certain names are triggering in Chicago as well, and this story that this woman is about to tell is a perfect example of that. All right, Nicole, can you tell us about your weekend festivities? First of all, where did you go for your birthday?
Well, for my actual birthday, I was in Milwaukee for a little bit. But the day after, I went to this place called King Spa up in Niles, Illinois.
Okay. And how was that?
So the entire, I guess, process, the entire experience was really nice. So I guess I'm just going to jump back right up into it. So I had a 2-hour massage. And I had just finished the massage. So it was a massage and a facial. I was feeling pretty limber, mind, body, and soul, was in a relaxing trance. But the spa has about 6 different rooms. Okay. And the rooms are all co-ed. They're all mildly warm in temperature. And ultimately, the focus for each room is for you to meditate and experience the different detoxifying properties that each room has to offer. Okay. So after I got my massage and I finished my treatment, I put on my little uniform, shout out to Squid Games. Right. I go into room number 1. Now, immediately when I open the door, there's this woman curled up in the corner, knocked the fuck out. So for a minute, I'm kind of taken aback because I'm like, okay, it's just me and her in the room, and I don't even know if she knows that I'm there. So I sit down quietly away from her so I don't disturb her. And I just sit there trying to meditate. Okay. I end up meditating for about 20 minutes. It's bright. People are coming in and out. Some couples are popping in and, whispering to each other and giggling. So I start to get restless. Okay. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to venture out and visit some of the other rooms. So this is when I head over to room number 2. So obviously from me just walking up, I can see that visually, this is a smaller room. I start reading it on the side of it. And a little pamphlet or a plaque is talking about how this room is going to be warmer. The use of charcoal is supposed to have greater detoxifying properties as the other rooms. So I'm being sold a dream, and I'm getting excited because I'm like, okay, cool. I'm about to go sit into this dark room, sweat a little bit, and have purified or detox blood or whatever the plaque was saying. So as soon as I open the door, there's 2 people sitting right by the door in a full-blown conversation. Okay. Talking about their age, their life, talking in a regular tone, not relaxing at all. So I go into the room because I'm already here, and I'm not gonna turn away and walk out just because these people are talking. I can tune them out. In my mind, that's what I was saying. Okay, I can just tune them out. I'm gonna go in here, sit in the corner, and try to meditate and relax. So I pick the furthest part of the room away from them. I pull my towel over my face, trying to tune them out. And kind of lessen the brightness of the light in the room. But I can't tune them out because my hearing has gotten stronger, or now my ears are attuned to what they're saying since my eyes are closed.
Right.
So
And
I'm
what was
sitting
they
there,
saying?
they're just talking a whole bunch of nonsense. So as I'm laying there, the woman is speaking to the man. She says, if you want to know if someone is pretty or not, look at them without makeup. So already in my head, I'm like, all right, here we fucking go.
Here you go. Here you go.
She started talking about how she wants to start having kids by 30, how she'll never be as pretty as her mom. And, you know, at this point, I assume she pulled out her phone and she's showing him a picture of her mom, because she kind of does like, you know, the whole like, see, look type situation. And he's like, oh, okay, she's pretty, but you know, you're pretty too. And she's like, oh, I know I'm gorgeous, but I'll never look as, you know, I'll never look as pretty as my mom.
Mm-hmm.
So they keep going back and forth. They start talking about like saying some real insensitive comments about genders and gender roles, and you know, how men shouldn't wear makeup, just very ignorant stuff like that, to be completely honest. So at this point, I'm already putting in my mind like, all right, based on how they look, they're speaking from a privileged standpoint. They don't know nothing about what's happening outside of Niles or whatever small ass town they're from. And they're just kind of like throwing ignorant comments out there because that's all that they can connect with. So they keep talking like little mild stuff like that. She goes back to her mom and her family and being pretty. So I'm taking deep breaths. I'm counting my breaths. I'm trying to meditate. At this point, I notice I hear the door open and close. So I assume the person that was there next to me got up and left, but she got tired of listening to them talk. So after a while, I'm trying to meditate. It's not happening. So I'm just laying there in the darkness, trying to figure out why these people just keep talking. So right before I'm going to get up, I hear the girl's voice change and she starts whispering. Immediately when she starts whispering, I start listening. So she starts saying, if you knew who if I told you my last name, you would know exactly who my family is. So she said that a couple of times. Obviously, at this point, the guy is like, well, you know, are you sure I'll know? Like, just like trolling her. You sure I'll know who your family is? You know, trying to get her to tell him without actually asking her to tell him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this girl didn't tell him her age.
How old was she?
She didn't show her. She was 27. Mm-hmm. Show her pictures of her mom. This man is 31. So obviously from this conversation, I gather that they don't know each other. And she's telling this dude all of her fucking business. And me too, by proxy, because I'm in there. Right. So she's telling us.
Yeah, telling y'all.
She's telling us all of her business. All of her business. And eventually the dude gets tired of like her saying, like, if I told you my family name, you'll know exactly who I am. So in my mind, I'm like, bitch, is you a daily?
Right.
Like she's talking like she got some deep roots in the community, like that, you know, they just this family that's just wreaking terror on the city. Like I'm thinking she connected to some underground shit. So then eventually he asks her, well, what's your last name? And she's like, Kellogg. So the guy don't say anything. He's stuck for a minute because quite honestly, I don't think he knew who she was. So in my mind, I'm thinking, bitch, is you related to Eric Kellogg? That's the first thing that popped in my mind. I'm like, this nigga been raining terror in Harvey for almost 20 years.
Kellogg
Harvey ain't been the same.
Kellogg took Harvey all the way down in the motherfucking drain. Okay, and for people who's listening that don't know who the fuck Eric Kellogg is, he was the mayor of Harvey.
Down Wood Street.
He was the mayor of Harvey for a long ass motherfucking time, for like basically all of the 21st century and a little bit before that.
And he sucked that city dry. Like,
sucked that motherfucker dry. He was like, goddamn.
Go from 147th and Wood Street to 159th and Wood Street, and you'll just see. You'll just see.
It's fucked up. Harvey looked like Amsterdam from the fucking Wire.
Amsterdam.
Like, it's bad, man. It's bad. Like, gee, Harvey is so raggedy. Harvey is so raggedy.
And it's only gotten worse. And then when you like, to sidetrack from the story, after this whole interaction, I went on LinkedIn because now I need to Google Eric Kellogg and figure out where he at. So I go to LinkedIn, and his LinkedIn profile say proud mayor of Harvey, Illinois.
Proud.
18 years. For 18 years and 2 months or some shit like that. Proud mayor of Harvey, Illinois. Jeez. So this is like, I thoroughly thought that she was affiliated with Kellogg in some way, shape, or form.
Jeez.
Now,
I thought that was his niece.
Listen, his great niece, a niece married into the family or something, because these people are definitely white. And we know Kellogg is not white at all.
Far from white. Straight nigga.
Far
Straight
from
nigga.
white.
Straight
yes,
Negro.
Yes.
Straight Negro.
Yes. Yes. His tactics, suspect, but he black.
Yeah, he black as fuck.
He is. So again, back to the story. At this point, she say Kellogg. So I'm like, bitch, is you associated, like, you related to Eric Kellogg? Because listen, I got some people in Harvey right now that's still recouping from the rain that he had.
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening. I'm ready to add my 2 cents in. This guy is still stuck. So eventually she says, like the cereal company, Corn Flakes.
Yeah, Frosted
So the
Flakes.
guy's like, Frosted Flakes. And then I'm sitting there like, I would never guess that. Obviously, that wasn't my first guess when she said her last name, motherfucking cereal, Frosted Flakes.
Yeah, you hear Kellogg around.
Tony the fucking Tiger.
Especially in the South suburbs. You ain't thinking about no Tony the Tiger. You think about Eric motherfucking Kellogg. The one who had half his motherfucking family on the payroll. The one that, I you know what? I bet you he is a proud mayor. Because shit, I'd be proud too if the fans ain't got my ass. After all that shit that went down in that city. Like, they still broke. Harvey still broke.
Listen,
I think they
just drive down Wood Street.
It's bad, man. It's bad.
It's a whole water problem out there in general. Dixmoor having water problems. Like, it's just bleeding that whole little area. Anything that's close to Harvey, unfortunately, is just it's just ran down.
Hotel
ran down.
South is I bet he is a proud former mayor. Shit, I'd be proud too.
They don't even say former.
Damn.
They don't even say former. He's still claiming.
The motherfucker's still the mayor, G.
According to LinkedIn, he's still the mayor of Harvey. I think it's time to update that shit.
And this white chick is just, she wanted this guy to know that she was a Kellogg, not the Kellogg's from Harvey, of course, but she wanted this dude to know that she was a Kellogg. Because how many times did she say that shit? If you know my family,
she hyped it up so much. Like, she said this like 6 times, and obviously she started whispering. So she wanted him to know, but she didn't want the rest of us to know. But what she doesn't know is I have good ass hearing. Yeah. And I heard their entire conversation from when I opened the door to when I sat down at that very moment. So regardless, listen, regardless if she thought that she was whispering and she was quiet, any normal person would have just stopped the conversation at that and moved on. But no, she said it 6 times. So she was wanting him to ask who she was.
Mm-hmm. And he finally
then he's like, yeah, so as he's like saying cornflakes, Frosted Flakes, naming all the fucking cereal and shit. she's saying, she's like, yeah, I would never eat that fucking shit. It's so bad for you. It's so horrible for you.
Damn.
Don't get me wrong.
On your so hold on, you wanted this nigga to know who your family is, but at the same time you saying fuck what my family did.
Absolutely. No, she wanted him to know who she was, but she also wanted to take this standpoint of, I'm very health conscious. I don't agree with how boxed cereal is creating all of these diseases and blah, blah, blah. Because when I'm assuming they spoke about his background before I came in there, because she knew that he was like into growing his own vegetables. She knew that his wife was Russian or some shit like that. Like she knew some stuff about him before I even got there, because she was hinting about the previous conversation that they had had. So I think she kind of was taking it from a stance of, I'm health conscious, trying to live that life, trying to put on that persona like, yeah, I would never eat their food, talking about she only shops at Amish markets and stuff. And, she wouldn't shop at Whole Foods, just continuing to talk while I'm trying to meditate.
Right.
She's saying all of this and I'm still laying there, eventually trying to count fucking sheep to drift off into some meditative space so I can at least clock 15 minutes in this room. Mind you, this conversation is happening and I hadn't even been in the room for 10 minutes. I'm holding on to their life because I'm like, let me just sit in this space for 15, 20 minutes, get the benefits, then go on to the next room. I couldn't even do it. At the end, I think I left out at the room at 15 minutes. I couldn't go beyond it because they never shut up. She kept talking and the conversation was just getting weirder and weirder and weirder. So yeah, they're going back and forth about the cereal. She's talking about how, she would never eat that crap. Starts talking about her family, how she's like the only girl for a couple of generations. And then he asks this weird ass question like, oh, I wonder how your genes are. What? And yes, he's like, absolutely, to the fullest extent. But he's like, yeah, I wonder what those genes are like. And she's like, oh, they're so good, no cancer, no disease, no diabetes, no high blood pressure, blah, 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 all the shit. But then she goes on to make a comment saying like, yeah, I'm a little bit overweight, but it's because like the food these days is just so bad. So in my mind, it's like, bitch, you just said that you don't eat fucking cornflakes. You're not eating Frosted Flakes when you only shop at the Amish markets. So you're not eating the Pop-Tarts. Listen, what you eating?
Corn pops?
What food?
You ain't eat none of that.
Because the Amish people not selling no food to make you overweight.
Gee, look, the Kellogg's are fucked up everywhere you go. You know what I'm saying? I feel like whether you in Chicago, South Suburbs, whether you in fucking Michigan, where the Kellogg family and them motherfuckers, they reside and shit. First of all, what is she doing in Niles? You know what I'm saying? Take your ass back to your family. You know what I'm saying? So if you knew my family, look, we know your family. We're going to take your ass down to Arnie's. You know what I'm saying? Take you to Wasso's.
Wasso's still standing.
Wasso's is still there. Like, they survived the pandemic. They survived the recession. They survived
Kellogg.
They survived Kellogg ass.
They survived Kellogg.
We're going to take you to that fucking Pace bus station. You know what I'm saying?
Downtown Harvey.
We're gonna take you out there so you can meet your family. If we, because we know who your family is. Do you know who your family is? That's the question.
Listen, don't be throwing their name around in Chicago, acting like the first thing niggas is gonna go to is a box of cereal. No.
Hell no.
There's been plenty of harm Kellogg has caused.
Plenty of harm. A lot of federal activity going on around these streets. So, maybe we should set up like a meet and greet so she can meet the extended members of her family.
But then I start thinking, like, after this whole interaction, after I left the spot, everything, I couldn't, like, I had to Google the Kellogg's. I had to Google, like, where they started at. I had to Google the family, because now I'm intrigued. So I started Googling Kellogg's and I found out that the original kind of like brother that created the cereal, he owns some sort of like asylums, something like that. He was a general. He was very health conscious and health focused. Like the purpose behind what he wanted to do wasn't to, he didn't want to give sick people medicine. He wanted to help people eat better so that they can ward off sickness and disease. Now, he had a little brother. Now his little brother seemed like a snake because his little brother, it was like supposed to be this marketing genius, and he turned the Kellogg brand into what it is. They ended up going to court. The court granted the little brother the rights to the Kellogg name, and that's why Kellogg is what it is today. But in order for that to happen, the little brother had to sue his big brother and take the recipes, take basically the foundation that he built and turn it into this $1 million company. So apparently the beef was so bad, they hadn't spoken ever since then. The big brother and little brother didn't speak after that.
Damn, so it was beef. Like, I mean,
it was like beef. That sounds like some Kellogg shit for real.
Yeah. So it's like the descendants are still, on that. The black ones, the black extended cousins. It seems like, that's something up with that Kellogg name, man. You know what I'm saying? That's fucked up though. So basically the company went the opposite direction of what the man who started the shit wanted it to go.
Yeah, so like I think the original founder his name was John Kellogg, and he was a nutritionist, a health activist. And he was working as the director of the Battle Creek Sanitarium in Michigan. What he wanted was overall that everyone had, like, let's just think about him in this day and age. If he wanted everyone to have the same access to healthcare.
Okay.
So he definitely entertained the rich and treated them as if they were famous. But he also wanted to treat the poor people the same, who couldn't afford other hospitals. And he did that by tackling the problem of nutrition in people's diets instead of giving people access to drugs, basically putting a Band-Aid over it. So when he first created the cereal, it was more so health conscious. And I think it was like Raisin Bran, like that brand type cereal. I feel like it was like the first cereal that he was actually feeding the people in the sanitarium. And then, Kellogg branched out to fucking cornflakes and Frosted Flakes and shit like that.
Man, I hated Raisin Bran growing up. Shit ain't have really no flavor to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't get down with it.
Same. I actually have a story of my grandfather. When we were younger, I wanted cereal, and at my house we always had cereal. It was 4 of us. We had cereal, all the different colors, shapes, sizes, whatever you thought. We had it. It wasn't just one type of cereal at my house. It was like 6 or 7 types because we were all picky. But we were at my grandparents' house, and they only had 2 types of cereal. And one was Raisin Bran Crunch and the other one was oatmeal.
Yep. That's all they fucking had, just Raisin Bran.
That's it. And I hated raisins. They were cold, they were hard, and they were just nasty. So I made my grandfather take out all of the raisins of the Raisin Bran Crunch, like one by one by one. He took them out. And I thought in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is going to make the cereal so much better, but there's no sugar in Raisin Bran Crunch. The sugar is in the raisins. Oh. If you don't have the raisins, you ain't got no sugar. There's no sweetness. It's just cardboard with milk.
You're just eating a bunch of shoe boxes at this point.
Listen, soggy shoe boxes is what I was eating. And then my grandfather was diabetic, so I had to take his Equal and Sweet and Low packet and mix them in the cereal in order for it to be sweet.
Oh my God.
So that's the lesson. If you got a bowl of Raisin Bran Crunch, leave them motherfucking raisins in there and just eat it. Because otherwise, you're gonna be sorry.
Your grandfather loved you though, to pick out all them raisins for you though, so that's real.
He
love.
did.
That's real love.
He did.
For his grandbaby. And so I just Googled this John Kellogg guy, if you know my family, the one. I just Googled him, and I see that that school, the American Medical Missionary College, they had classes in Chicago and it merged with Illinois State University. That's very interesting. You see how everything just comes together in Chicago. It's crazy, but interesting little fact. I wonder if that lady, that woman, is somewhere else, trying to clout chase off her family's name again. She just needs to be careful not to clout chase in the wrong area with that name. That's really what she needs to be mindful of.
Absolutely, because she definitely had me leaving that spa thinking that she was in some way. I wasn't even thinking about the damn cereal. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Even what was it? 3 days have passed. 3 or 4 days have passed, and I'm still thinking about Eric Kellogg. So it's triggering. You bring up that name to the wrong person, you can trigger a response.
Yeah, she might get jumped. She gonna be eating motherfucking Raisin Bran. That's gonna be the only thing she can eat. Shit, corn pops, some shit like that.
She gonna have somebody coming up to her with a petition. Like, listen, let me tell you all the things the Kellogg name has done.
She ain't gonna say that shit ever again in life.
Listen, people still got high ass water bills because of him.
People still ain't buying shit.
Still got the potholes, raggedy ass buildings all down Wood Street, abandoned now. 5-6 years ago, there used to be people living there, but
all Harvey
not
got
anymore.
All Harvey got at the moment is like 100 churches, Ingles, and Popeyes.
And whatever they switch Arnie's to, I forgot the new name of it.
It's like Mr. Yeah, I forgot the name. So it's stupid though. It's stupid. It's a dumbass name. That's what it is.
But the building's still there.
It's a dumbass name.
They got Thornton too.
Pizza greasy as fuck too. The pizza at Arnie's across the street, greasy as hell.
Don't eat that.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of grease and foil, and cheese and crust. That's all it is.
Those are bad memories, man. But
Harvey World.
Shout out to Wassos.
Yeah, shout out to Wassos. Shout out to Harvey World. Mark and the Millions, we neighbors. We love y'all. Shout out to Mark and May too.
If you enjoyed this podcast, I ask for 2 things. Number 1, leave a 5-star review. And number 2, pass it on to a friend who may enjoy it as well. And don't forget to subscribe to our other podcast, Mogul Motivation from True Stories Media.